gentleman right there. MD-4, Congressman Wynn. Please stay seated.
Well, I don't think I've ever gotten a better reception. I'm both appreciative and also very humbled by that warm reception, and I thank you for it. I'm very pleased to be with you today. This is a very important issue and a very important movement. It harkens back, if you assess my age, you know, it harkens back to my youth when all of us were talking about peace and civil rights and the cause. And I was telling someone I was out at the march Saturday, and I said, "Geez, like old times." It felt very good. It was very impressive. I also think it's fair and necessary to acknowledge that I have not always been there. I am a newer convert, certainly in the context of the current Iraq situation, and I'm not afraid to admit I made a mistake. I was wrong. I saw this through a different prism. Thank you. But as they say, I've seen the light. Because we're at a point now where we see that the militaristic course that we had been pursuing, that we were led to believe would yield peace, in fact is having the exact opposite effect. And it is important that we take on this issue in the context of the Iraq conflict, and that we oppose this war, and that we insist that we bring troops home, not add troops to the conflict. I understand that this issue is part of a much larger issue of where we are as a people, where we are as a planet, how we look at conflict resolution. I think on the Iraq issue, my colleague, who I'm sure you will hear from later in the conference, Dennis Kucinich, has a very thoughtful plan, which I support, that would get us out of Iraq, but not call for a disengagement of our foreign policy. And I talked to Dennis about it, and I said, I really appreciate what he's putting forth, because it's not enough to be anti-war and to say out of Iraq now. We also have to be for something. We have to have a concept, a notion of a foreign policy and what it should be, and how a peace-oriented foreign policy would work. And so Dennis has done that. I compliment him for it. One of his items, item 5, is something that is very dear to my heart. He calls for a UN peace and security force, and I support that. As a matter of fact, I had a bill, and have a bill, which I will reintroduce this kind, for a permanent UN peace and security force, so that we'll approach things from a multilateral standpoint rather than just a U.S. standpoint. It was very interesting. I was on the Bill O'Reilly show Thursday. And I expressed my views that I thought we should come out and not increase. And he went on to ask me if I'd ever heard of Neville Chamberlain, the British leader who had failed at the time of the World War II conflict with Hitler and the Nazis. And of course I had. And I think that's part of the problem. We have too many people who are looking at the world through the prism of 1939. And we have to kind of update our thinking, you know. And what I said, well, I didn't actually say it, but craving for power, for land, for money, and that there will inevitably become. So we are not looking at a pie-in-the-sky notion of the world. But what we're saying is we need to take a different approach. We need to take new tactics. We don't want to withdraw from the world and then live in some la-la land. We want to engage with the world and create a better world. So I think there's certain things that we need to do, and that I hope as part of the peace movement and establishing the Department of Peace, we will begin to emphasize that peace requires engagement, peace requires dialogue. Yeah. We cannot pout, cross our arms and say, I won't talk to you. Right. And that's what we do in so many places in the world. Yeah. I don't think any of us likes the Korean leadership. I don't think any of us likes the leadership of some of these other dictatorial countries. But we have to have dialogue. We have to talk to them. As long as we talk to them, we're not fighting. The second thing we have to have diplomacy. We have to have one of the things I say, and I talk a lot about the Mideast crisis that I admire so much about Bill Clinton, is that up till the very last day of his administration, he was trying through diplomatic means to resolve the Mideast conflict. President Bush came in, dropped the effort, and we see what we had in the 2 years since. It's ridiculous. There must be diplomatic effort. So I think that's very important, and that means understanding what the other guy wants. Right. It's not just what we want. Right. What do they want? What do they think? What are their values? Yeah. We cannot impose our values, even though they are right and incorrect. I believe that. But nonetheless, we cannot impose them on other people. We have to engage with other people, work with them diplomatically. And I've said in terms of the Iraq conflict, we have an idea that we're the only ones who want peace and stability. Not true. The moderate Muslim countries in the region have a much greater stake in peace and stability. So we need to do that. My time is up. I just want to thank you for having me. Thank you for your warm